think the music is the entry point. Sort of like, I think what brought us all here in the first place. So we heard a record. We heard somebody driving by in their sound system. Something was playing out of it that just really touched something inside of us. I'm Kyle, KG, and I DJ and throw parties. I grew up on Long Island in New York, just about 30 minutes outside of the city. I sort of found my way into dance music through the sort of like punk, post-punk, downtown New York, 70s and 80s sound. I got really into that. I started LSD 6 years ago. The first Last Saturday dance that I did was at Magic City. I invited Tom of England. We invited 100 people, and that was the first Last Saturday dance. It was on the last Saturday of March 2016. It was a great party. Really, really special night. And yeah, from there on, the idea was sort of born to do parties on the last Saturday of each month. The hope for me has always been that people that can come here and experience that, they'll be able to go out, into their day or their week and just like carry a little bit of that with them and spread that to people in their lives.
This is what I did all winter in Berlin, where the days were really, really short, and I was living in the middle of nowhere. I just do one of these a day. I'd wake up in the morning and I just get going, and I like all of a sudden 3 hours gone past, and like I was like, oh man, I hadn't even put the kettle on, still sitting there in my undies. So then I go, then kind of, get my tea on, get my day on, whatever. And then at the end of the day, I'd sit in the hammock and just like finesse the beat and get into these crazy details. My name is Tom Bullock, also known as Tom of England. I'm a DJ and I'm from Cambridge in England. I was 18 in 1988 when the house music and rave and ecstasy phenomena swept through the nation, and I'm still working with the echoes of that very benevolent experience for me. I bought my first record when I was 10. I wanted it to be Adam and the Ants' Car Trouble, but I didn't understand that was a record that was already 3 years old or something, and they didn't have it. So they gave lovely Mavis, who was buying the record for me, they gave her Spandau Ballet and said that I would really like it. And I didn't. That was my first record. The second record was Nevermind the Bollocks by the Sex Pistols, which I really did like. That's one of the beautiful things about it, is that through that physical activity, coupled with the creative expression, the meditational experience of the repetition and the beats, the uplifting messages, like, finding that you're kind of sharing space with people and you're feeling that connectivity. Who needs drugs? It's like you're high from that.
I mean, I've had some of the most psychedelic experiences of my life on a dance floor with no chemicals involved, just the sort of the surrender of the self to the communal spirit of the dance floor, and just getting lost in the music and just really kind of letting go of the ego mind and just entering into a new way of being. I've accessed that many times on the dance floor with and without the use of psychedelics or medicines.
Sure, there are drugs around, or some of them are sort of synthetic, some of them are natural, and that may help you kind of unwind and get into the zone. But in the scale of things, they're pretty minimal in terms of like the overall experience and the takeaway. When house music and everything happened in the late 80s in the UK, everything changed for young people in society. Everything pivoted from being a really divided culture. The classes were really divided before house music in 88. And through the process of all those nights and all those tunes, the UK switched, and there was no longer this kind of really palpable, fractious, contentious, aggro violence. That evaporated through the experience. There's nothing mysterious about it. It fully happened. There were all kinds of people in those parties that were just escaping like a stereotype that was kind of placed upon them as working class people or gay people or football hooligans, or like everyone was able to just kind of be themselves, truly.
What happens when you sort of surrender yourself to the collective spirit, to the collective consciousness, is that you kind of get the opportunity to experience a little bit of what everyone else is going through in that room. It's also not all about fun and joy. It can be like a really important space to deal with trauma. It can be an important space to deal with pain and sadness and grief. It's like the dance floor where I've been able to work through some experiences of loss and grief. And it's because those spaces feel safe, and because I'm surrounded by people that I love and that love me, whether or not I even know their names.
And when I look at these clubs, like objectively, if I try to describe them, whatever I say is going to be so close to the definition of like a church group or a community strengthening, transcendent experience through dance, through music.
There's people who I have shared very intimate spiritual moments with on the dance floor, and I only ever see them on that dance floor, and I've never even exchanged words with them. We've just maybe locked eyes or just embraced or played with balloons together or whatever, but it's just because of like whatever I'm going through in my own psychic space at that time. I'm willing to share that with the community of the dance floor. I mean, for me, it's like the music is what brought me here, and like the community is what kept me here.
Would I advocate taking the drugs and dancing till dawn? I think if, there's ways of making sure that drugs are good drugs. You can test them. There's kits. You can order them online and make sure your ecstasy is pure. And in that case, the right DJ, yes, I would. Even for my own children. There you go, Uma. Finally said it to you. Plain sight, with witnesses.